I really prefer to talk directly and to use the formal channels of communication with the DPRK. United Nations, have a lot of contacts uh, with DPRK because they are state member of the United Nations, and trying to get to build some trust and to have some conversations with them, and also indirectly with other states that have connections with them. I'm trying to learn from other stakeholders that have the possibility to work with the DPRK. I think that it is the best way to behave, given the circumstances, and that's all what I can say. It's part of my job, the mandate, the resolution of the Human Rights Council, the Human Rights Council resolution establishes that I should seek direct contact with the DPRK and with the people of the DPRK. It's important to mention that, and I will follow that resolution. And it would be very interesting to have a positive answer from the DPRK and try to work together. In 2017, the Special Rapporteur on Disability Rights, Catalina de Bandas, visited Pyongyang and other city, and I think that it's a very good experience. It's a very good moment for the international human rights law, and I hope that it could be repeated at a point. Well, I totally agree with you. This is a very difficult period, difficult time, difficult term. And well, I've been talking with some of the members of the Security Council and other relevant states of the United Nations. And well, those are discrete conversations, so I wouldn't like to give more information about that. But what I can share with you is that I think that the linkage between human rights and security issues, it's a very important area I would like to develop, to clarify, and to maybe write a report about that, because I think that nowadays we are focusing only in missiles and security, nuclear weapons eventually, but this discussion will not by itself improve the human rights situation of the 25 million people that live in North Korea. So I think that we need to try to build some bridges among those issues. I think that the U.S. Finally, nominate an special envoy, it would be a clear and very strong signal to the DPRK, but also to the international community about the huge importance of human rights in contemporary world. So I think that it is a very important signal, and it could definitively make it easier coordinations and to try to get to build some common positions regarding the main issues about human rights. So I think that it could be very useful, very helpful to have that person, and to try to coordinate, to speak, to gather more people on the table to work on these issues. I think that accountability is a precondition for a sustainable peace. I mean that giving a response to human rights violation, it's an important sign of contemporary world. So in this sense, I think that may have judicial paths, like universal jurisdiction, domestic courts, and also international criminal court or other comparable mechanisms. So, but also when we speak about accountability, we may also have some non-judicial paths like truth, reparations, other kinds of measures. So I think that the ICC, it's the most important tribunal that deals with international crimes. And I think that we need to think seriously about that. But there are also other possibilities, for instance, regarding the situation on Syria. The General Assembly finally had the possibility to create a mechanism to investigate and preserve evidence of international crimes in Syria. This was created in 2016. It means that they do not judge crimes, but they are gathering, preserving memory, evidence, and I think that's also a very interesting way to follow. Well, this mandate started in 2004. I have 3 predecessors, and I think that they wrote wonderful reports portraying very well, laying out all the situation in the DPRK. So after 18 years, I thought that it was maybe time to move forward. And I thought that focusing on specific groups could be a good idea to better understand the situation in the DPRK and also to try to improve the situation of at least on some specific issues, because the DPRK has a number of obligations on international obligations regarding women, regarding girls. They are state party of the CEDAW Convention, the Convention for against the discrimination of women. And they presented some reports to this committee, CEDAW committee. And also, as you know, the DPRK had 3 cycles of universal periodical review and the Human Rights Council. And the Human Rights Council had a number of recommendations regarding women, regarding girls, and the DPRK accepted those recommendations. So I think that we have strong legal foundation to start with this issue. And well, secondly, the situation of women and girls, it's a very important issue, not only because I am a woman, but because international law has developed a number of standards regarding gender, regarding women, regarding girls. And I think it's time to see, to work on this issue. And well, finally, when I was in Seoul, and even before going to Seoul, I had the opportunity to share these ideas with many civil society organizations, academia, also some public offices, and all agreed that it could be a very good idea to start with this issue. I don't mean that I will finish my mandate only talking about women and girls. I would like to move from one issue to other, but definitely in following my personal experience, I thought that starting by women and girls, it's important for human rights law in general. This is a very important question. Thank you for that. I'm deeply concerned about any repatriation to the DPRK because the Office of the High Commissioner, I think, had a lot of evidence about the mistreatment, the possible situation of torture, of ill treatment, even enforced disappearances or judgments without due process, with the guarantees of due process. So I think that every state should keep in mind that repatriating people to the DPRK, it's a very, very risky situation. And because, as you know, the Convention Against Torture, I mean the United Nations Convention Against Torture, says in its Article 3 that no state should repatriate, expel, or other figures to a state where there are some risks about mistreatment or torture. So I think that not one specific country, but the whole community, the whole international community should be aware of the situation in the DPRK, and that's part of my job. Again, I would like to raise awareness, to be constantly reminding this situation and avoiding by this way to forget what is happening there. And well, in my report, I mentioned some people, the case of some people that live in China or in other neighboring countries, which are also experiences feelings of fear because of this. So my answer to you is that I think that we should avoid repatriation, and we should have some coherence in our policies, in our human rights policies. And I am sure that the Republic of Korea will follow this path. They are investigating these issues. They have some pending investigations. So I think that the state will be responding in an adequately way. Well, maybe two comments about this question. The first one is that in the report, I wrote about the cases, the people who are in China, around 2,000 people currently detained in China. And this is not something new. My predecessor, Tomás Ojea Quintana, had sent some letters to China indicating the situation, and China responded that they think that as far as they went to China in an illegally way, so there is no need to speak about, for instance, non-devolution, the principle of non-devolution. It means not to repatriate. So this is a very controversial issue, but I think that the more we talk about the situation of human rights in the DPRK, the more the states could be for a broader approach to this situation and try to preserve human rights. And well, I also would like to say that even if the situation is very difficult for, in the case of China or other states nowadays, I think that we also have some positive signs. For instance, on November 13, a few days ago, as you know, there was a trilateral statement with Japan, South Korea, and the US, precisely talking about a shared commitment, if we can say that, to the immediate resolution of the abductions issues and the support for the immediate release of the South Korean citizens detained in the DPRK. So this is a very good sign. It is a very good example of how we could speak about human rights, but also security issues at the same time. And I think that we have our ups and downs in this situation, but I think that we could find some possible solutions to all this situation. Well, this issue is under, investigation. The courts, the domestic courts in the DPR in South Korea, sorry, they will pronounce their position. So I think it's not proper from my part to mention something about it. I could only say that civil society organizations must be allowed to do their work. It is important to keep this in mind, but at the same time, there are sometimes security issues for people living in the borders. So we need to have a good regulation about these issues in which you preserve rights, but you also protect other people, and with criteria like necessity, proportionality. You need to really, really rule the situation in a very proper way. You know, I am a woman from Latin America. I have experience teaching human rights, but also working with regional organizations like the Inter-American System of Human Rights and also the United Nations. So I came with the hope to help. With my main objective is to help, to raise awareness, to being a voice in the international arena with one objective, no prejudices, but one objective: to raise awareness and not to allow, not to not to forget the situation of these 25 million people living there. So this is my objective, and well, I would be really happy if some people in the DPRK may listen to this and to know that I feel great empathy for the population there, and I will be here working for this.